Margaret had been married to Robert for 23 years. She'd learned, mostly, how to make herself smaller. He was charming, but his compliments to her came with conditions. "You look lovely today, though you've put on weight. I appreciate how hard you try, even if you don't always get it right." She'd learned not to contradict him in public. She'd learned to laugh at his jokes about her. She'd learned that her role was to be the canvas on which he painted himself. At a dinner party with his colleagues, someone mentioned a rebranding strategy that had impressed the board. "Yes," Robert said, leaning back confidently, "I developed that concept entirely." Margaret felt something shift in that moment. She set down her wineglass. "Actually, you didn't," she said quietly. "I suggested that direction 3 years ago. You told me it wouldn't work. Then you presented it to your team as your own idea." The table went silent. Robert's face cycled through confusion and fury. "Margaret, you're upset," he started to say. "I'm also correct. I've spent 23 years pretending not to notice you take credit for my ideas, and then you reduce me in public to feel bigger than you are." She stood. "I've pretended to be small so you could feel big. Not anymore. This is the last time you do this to me." She left in a taxi. The colleague thought about that dinner party. He'd always wondered where Robert got his ideas. They were good, but he'd never quite associated them with Robert himself. He mentioned it to another colleague. Within a week, the board was asking questions. Within 2 weeks, they reviewed Robert's entire body of work, and a pattern emerged. Colleagues remembered conversations where Robert had claimed inspiration for work remarkably similar to discussions they'd heard him have with his wife. Robert's reputation crumbled. He was quietly let go. Margaret filed for divorce. She had documented everything. She had notebooks with dates where she recorded the ideas. She'd been protecting herself long before she realized she needed to. The settlement was favorable. Robert moved away to attempt a fresh start that never quite happened. People in his industry usually talk. Margaret stayed in the house. She took the decorating job Robert had said was beneath her. She reconnected with friends he'd discouraged her from seeing. She even took up painting, something she'd abandoned because he'd said she wasn't particularly good at it. It turns out she was quite good. 3 years later, Margaret ran into Robert's colleague at the market. "He's always wanted to thank you," he said. "For what?" "For that dinner party. It made me look at Robert's work, and once I did, I couldn't unsee the pattern. He was stealing ideas from brilliant people. He was stealing from a woman who was brilliant, married to him, and completely overlooked." He paused. "It's remarkable how someone can be invisible in plain sight, and how sometimes all it takes is one moment of visibility to change everything." Margaret smiled. "It took me far longer than it should have to make myself visible, but yes, sometimes that's all it takes." Shout out to Briefbank for commenting on our last couple videos. If you want to get a shout out, subscribe and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.